Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our Succession Season 4, Episode 3 review and reaction. That was not what I expected going in. I think I can say that with all the confidence in the world.
This was shocking.
Yeah,
Shocking. But I mean, this show has never been afraid to make some big moves, and they just made the biggest move. This is going to be an episode that is not going to be forgotten.
no, yeah, this is like TV history stuff. And
Yes.
they did it within like the first 20 minutes of the episode. This wasn't like at the very end, it was like, oh, we're doing it right now. And then you're just going to have to sit around and deal with it for the rest of this hour.
I felt like Roman through this whole thing where I
Yeah,
was just like, okay, it's not going to be true. It's not going to be true. Is
yeah,
it still not going to be true? Oh, this plane's been circling around for like 30
yeah.
minutes now. No, maybe it's not going to be true, but it was like true. It's shocking.
Jesse Armstrong was like, "Oh, I'm ending the show now," when he was writing the script for this. I mean, okay, well, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna process all our emotions. We're all feeling a lot of them, just like the Roy family is. But
Wow.
hit that subscribe button. We will go through what is now just complete. I don't know, an open book for the rest of the. Nobody has any idea what's gonna happen now. Everything is just like thrown all over the place. It's like you take the deck, you just fling it.
And if you're looking for a little bit of a palate cleanser after this and you want something that's not quite this dark, head over to our Instagram, Matt and Just TV, where we have some cute bunny pics going on because it's also Easter
Yeah,
and I'm a bun mom. So, I had to share some pics over there. But, okay,
yeah,
let's just get into the meat of this. Logan Roy, mogul, father, all of this.
yeah,
He is gone. He is dead.
yeah,
He died on the plane heading out to go see Matson, and it was really shocking.
yeah.
I know I keep using the word, but I just I can't believe that they pulled this right when they did. It reminds me of Vikings. So for anybody who hasn't seen Vikings, there's gonna be a spoiler here. But when they killed off Ragnar, who is, of course, like the main character of the show, the father, it was shocking the same way where I was
Yeah.
like, I can't believe they just did that. Now we're going to be watching the show go forward with just his sons. And, can they hold the show up without him? They did, by the way.
Yeah,
And now we're in sort of that same spot where it's like, okay, now we've got the kids. Can they hold up the show without him?
this is this is more shocking than Ned Stark, like by far. I mean, at least Ned Stark, like book readers had an idea of knowing that this was coming. It's like this is the timing of it is one of the most shocking things I can remember in TV because like I thought Logan was probably gonna kick the bucket at some point, but
Mhm.
I thought. I don't know, episode 7, episode 8, you get kind of a
Yep.
couple of episodes to kind of sift through it, but clearly this represents the show realizing we really can't run the risk of spinning our wheels at all. Like there's already some criticism out there of Succession. It's like, oh, it's basically the same thing every season, which I don't agree with, but they can really argue, okay, now we have removed the most important character from the world of this show. We're going to put, Shiv, Kendall, Roman in this spot where they were already fighting for power, but now they're going to have to sort of do it while also feeling some measure of grief. And we know that these are not, the most empathetic, like emotional, heartfelt people, but that still is going to weigh on them. And it's like another
Yeah.
factor.
Yeah, and I think that's actually what's going to make this grief for them even more complicated. For those of you who are new to the channel, I'm a former funeral director, so one of the things that I was trained in is grief and processing grief. And when the person is your parent and they're neglectful in the way that Logan was, and sometimes, downright mean. I mean, look at what he did to Roman. It was like his final act is
Yeah.
to have Roman go and tell Jerry, someone he cares deeply for, that she's fired as sort of this, I don't know. Is he just messing with him to be like, or is he just like, I just need to know that you're loyal to me. You'll do the dirtiest of work for me. It was like, it's such a complicated, more complicated relationship because I mean we saw it with all of the four kids where it was everybody was like, yeah, you know, we didn't have this close relationship with him. There was always sort of this adversarial role with him. Sometimes he was, you know, very neglectful to us. There wasn't, we heard it from Connor last week. Ah, the thing about having a family that doesn't love you is you learn to live without it. And it's just like, they all are in that boat together. And when you're grieving your parent who you feel didn't love you, I
Yeah.
mean, like, I can't imagine those types of feelings that those kids are going through.
It's just so messed up because it's like Logan was an awful father in like a lot of different ways. He treated his kids terribly. He, would just demean them at various points. And it's just still, you're always going to have like that element of love. It's even like Logan, and Brian Cox has said this, that he thinks Logan loves his children, but, Logan also really loves Waystar, and
Mhm.
Logan really loves money, and he loves being the puppet master. Like, I think that he wanted to bring Roman sort of into the fold, and he knew that Jerry was going to be a distraction. So I think it's
Yes.
kind of like you said, it's a loyalty test, but it's also all right, I'm gonna make sure there's nothing else you can focus on
Hmm.
other than me. And it's also, I think this is also even more interesting because okay, you know what? Logan's a fictional character. So we can tinfoil hat this. I'm
All
doing
right.
it. All right. So did Logan kind of know that this was coming? I mean, it seems like it's, very much a medical event last moment, but he did have this whole, forgiveness speech at the karaoke in this past episode. And, there is sort of this feeling that a lot of people sort of know when it's their time in
And he
advance.
has been having some health issues throughout this. I mean, the very first season we
Yeah.
had him having some health issues.
I don't think it's unreasonable to think that Logan sort of projected that this is something that could happen and that this is him sort of putting his final pieces on the chessboard, telling his kids he loves them, but at the end of the day, still being like, okay, Roman, here is sort of your final task. Congratulations. Now you got to do this.
Brutal.
Yeah.
That scene was brutal. I mean, you could see Roman's heart breaking having to tell Jerry this, like, and Jerry's heart breaking as she walked away. I mean, she really did, as she said, dance through thunderstorms for Logan. And then Logan's all of a sudden in this episode, like, basically firing all the women because Sid was going as well. It was just like, long-term women at his company were getting axed.
And this is just who he is. And I think that's what makes, obviously, him dying so difficult, is that, Loki is like a reprehensible character a lot of the time, but, there is these emotions wrapped up with it. And it sets the stage for a lot of really big stuff. And
Yeah.
we'll get into that, but just like, Kieran, yeah, Sarah, Jeremy, like the performances that those three were tasked with at that phone call scene that was like 15 minutes long. It felt like you were sort of watching a play in real time where you had to just do it all in one take and you were on stage and there was no walking any of it back.
It really, they did a perfect job of making me feel like I was one of the people in the room watching it unfold in real
Yeah.
time. Like, even like I felt like I was someone in there being like, somebody go get Shiv, somebody
Yeah.
go get Connor. How is this happening? Like, you know, and I get that you're in your own grief and everything that's, you're in shock, you don't know what to do. And finally they get Shiv and I'm like, where is Connor? Like, you know, you're at his wedding. Like, no one has gone to go get him. This forgotten son breaking my heart.
Connor had at least like 200 heartbreaking moments in this episode, from like his reaction to him like just desperately trying to focus on the cake because that was sort of like a symbol of distraction and peace from like horrible times in his past.
Yeah, I mean, it actually made me feel better for him that he made the decision not to go when, you know, the other kids got off the boat and they were able to go and see Logan, that he made the decision after he had that very honest talk with Willow where he was just like, he wasn't really like do you love me? I need you here for love. He was really like, I need you to not abandon me.
Yeah.
Like, he has severe abandonment issues, neglect issues. So the main thing he needs is stability in his life of his partner, where she was like, yeah, of course I am here financially and for that stability. She's never lied about that. Just like he's never lied about what he's looking for either.
Yeah.
He wants a wife for his campaign. He wants stability from her. That she was like, but the real is I'm happy here. And if I'm happy here, I'm not going anywhere. So I'm really glad that he decided to make that decision to be like, listen, my father never liked me anyways. I could never make him proud. I'm an old man now. I wasn't getting anywhere with him in life. And now in death, I can move forward and marry this woman and
Yeah.
have a different kind of life going forward. It was like he was almost like reborn into this new headspace, and I'm really glad that he did that.
My guy Connor, this is the funniest thing out of all of this, is that this is going to be the marriage that works amidst all these others on Succession. Like, I don't think they're going to break up. Like, I think they're going to at least go the distance as far as this show goes.
Why does somebody have to die at every single Roy wedding?
It's really, really true.
Yeah, every time somebody's getting married, it seems like somebody's gonna die.
Yeah.
But I was really glad that that's where that went.
Yeah, I think it's important for Connor to move forward. As a
Yes.
Connor fan, I'm glad at least he had as sweet of a moment as you're going to have in Succession. I think with him and Willa, I think they do care about each other, and he needs that because also in the midst of losing Logan, like these other three siblings, they're all just sort of caught up in their own stuff, and there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing I think besides stability and someone not leaving him, Connor wants is someone who's going to be honest with him because, his family hasn't always been honest with him. He even said it in the last episode. I'm not here for secrets and sort of sneaking around and all that. I just am here for the truth kind of thing, and I'm here to give the truth. And I think that that's something that he has always gotten with Willa. She's always been honest with him about where they stand and what's going on.
Yeah, and he knows exactly the pecking order here, that like, he's going to be important to Willa. Like there's other things that are important to Willa too, but like he is important to her. And with, the news of Logan's passing, he's like the last guy to find out. Like the other siblings all learn about it first. Everybody on the plane, nobody on the plane is like, oh, let's call up Connor from anything as far as we can tell.
Yeah, I know. And that's why, like, going forward now, I'm kind of wondering, like, was this really the wrap up for him? I haven't seen the preview of anything that's coming up, if Connor's going to be any further into this. I'm hopeful that we'll see him again and that he'll be really happy. But I mean, now it's about the company. And that was always sort of like where I thought we were going to go. Like, if Logan stayed alive all the way to the series finale, Logan was still going to just be running the company. We were not going to see anybody actually succeed him. It was just not going to happen.
Yeah.
But now that they've done it this early on, there's like a good amount of time here to see what's going to happen with the other three, with everybody else who's also going to be trying to keep their jobs. I mean, even Tom was like, kind of like, my protector's gone. What happens to me now? Like nobody really knows what's going to happen to them.
This is going to be like a mental progress, a project, I should say, over the next few days of just like trying to like assemble all these sort of pieces in my head, because it's like, okay, here's what we know. And we can say this because honestly, the characters are already doing it. Tom is sad for a moment, and then Tom is just like, yeah, I am, my protector's gone. I'm totally screwed at this point. And, ultimately, Tom, you are in trouble. You are in very, very big trouble when it comes to holding any sort of position in this company now moving forward. Shiv and Kendall and Roman, like there's even this moment where Kendall is really trying to redefine the relationship between him and his father, because like you could just sort of see them with just words trying to push his family away. They're putting together the statement in the air. They want to control the narrative. The kids want to control the narrative. And it is a jostling for power more so than a, who wants to express sympathy.
It was there was a moment in this where I saw Kendall from season 1 when he thought that the reins were being handed over to him and he was sort of his best self, where they were all sitting in the room together and Shiv was like, "Oh, let the plane circle around for another 30 minutes. Like, we need to collect ourselves." And Roman's like, "No, man, he's still alive.
Yeah.
Like, bring it down." And Kendall very calmly was just like, "Listen, whatever we do here is going to sort of be written in the history books forever. If we allow our dad to fly around for 30 more minutes, that's what we did in this moment. And people will pull that apart because we are all public figures in this sort of, in this world." And it was good to sort of see that Kendall back, as he has been missing for a very long time.
Here's Kindle. I'm not going to do it because I think the visual effect of it would make me like pass out. But just imagine I'm just like spinning around in this chair over and over again. And I'm in a tunnel. And there's only one part of the tunnel where there's some light. Eventually, every now and then, Kindle like faces the light again. And he has a couple of like really good coherent thoughts. He's too much of a mess to ever get it together, which is just why I can't think Kendall's ever going to be the person who can run the company. But when he's on, he's like really on.
It's going to be very interesting if this show ends where it started, which was that Kendall was going to be handed the keys to the kingdom. He was the heir with the flair that was going to be taking over everything. And it's going to be kind of interesting to see if that's where it actually ends up, that we went through this whole thing and it took for Logan to pass away for him to actually get back in that spot, because he was really thriving in that spot. He was healthier and feeling good. And, it was a different Kendall. And then as it was taken away, he did just continuously sort of go down into this hole that he couldn't get out of. So, like, the best thing for him is to be working.
Yeah, and I think the fascinating question now is, how do you work? Where do you work? Who do you work with? Because Shiv is the person who actually reads the statement to the press.
Ooh,
like
that was her Emmy moment right there.
Yeah, I mean, not only was just like, Sarah Snook's just performance of that brilliant, but it's also she reads out this emotional statement. She says no questions, but then after a question is shouted, she very deliberately is just like, "Oh, we will still be involved." And that's the only thing. And it's like, well, guess what now, Team Airplane? You guys aren't going to be able to back out of this now. So, Shiv has really like put her foot on this in a way that I don't know if Kendall or Roman in that moment, well, certainly Roman, would have the wherewithal to just like say that one little thing that like dramatically alters everything.
It was also nice to see Tom there for Shiv, and that Shiv was also able to put aside what was going on and accept that comfort from him. Like, I wasn't sure how it was really going to play out, because everybody deals with grief differently. Sometimes when you're in that grieving process, you don't want comfort or anyone near you, but especially in that situation of where they have sort of messed each other over and they're like on this way to divorce, that he's like, "I'm still here." And she's like, "I'll accept that for right now." We watch them drive away together.
Yeah, I think it's another reminder that I think we can all debate love, but I think they really do care about each other on some level. And I think no matter what, anything that happens, I think on that personal level, they are okay to put some things aside. And I think it will be true. We don't really see a lot of, Kendall's family in this episode, but I think it's going to be true from that vantage point. Roman, Jerry, despite, being told that she was gone, like, she's still there for Roman a little bit later on in the episode, just briefly.
A very little bit. I mean, there was that moment where he was like, "I need the room," and she was like, "No problem." And he was like, "Listen, like, I'm really sad about this. I'm really broken about this." And she was kind of like, "Yeah, you are," and left, kind of thing. And I don't blame her. I mean, she's dealing with her own grief as well. She feels betrayal from Logan, from Roman, but at the same time, I mean, remember what she did last season in the room where he basically got on his knees and was like, "Jerry, help me." And she was like, "What's in it for me? What's my interest in helping you?" So, I mean, like, it's a little back. Hopefully they'll be able to kind of figure it out.
Jerry's always got her own gameplay. Jerry is
Yes.
like the X factor in everything. We are going to have like at least 2 or 3, I think, heated Jerry discussions moving forward. But like for Roman, this episode reminds me further of that. And I love Roman and I know he's your guy, but
Team
like
Roman till the wheels fall off. I'd love to see him be the top guy
uh,
in this, but I think it's going to end sort of one or two ways. It's either going to be Kendall sort of on top with his siblings sort of working under him a little bit, or we're going to have all three of them sort of divvy it up and they're all going to have equal power.
Roman to me is the Robin. Roman is not the Batman. Roman needs somebody
How
to
dare
be.
you.
I know. I knew this was gonna. Listen, we're
He
20 minutes
is,
in.
listen, he is the one that has the biggest heart out of all of them.
He
And that's
does.
saying something because, they're all kind of terrible people.
Yes.
But he's also the smartest guy in the room, even though he doesn't have the confidence and not everybody
Yeah.
listens to him. What he says really does matter.
He needs to be okay. Here's another analogy. He needs to be the hand of the king. He needs to be,
That's the
sort
same
of.
analogy
It
as
works.
calling him a Robin.
It does, because he's not somebody who needs to go up there and be the figurehead, to go up there and give the speeches, but he's a better puppet master. He's the smart person who can really actually get things done while the other person is going and giving the speech. I do not trust Roman enough to go and give a speech. Okay, really?
Roman.
I love well, really, we have to remember Connor is going to be the president of the United States, and nothing else really matters. Connor's not going to be president of the United
Okay,
States.
who do you think is going to be on top?
Jerry. See, that's where.
I love Jerry.
Okay,
I wouldn't
that's-
be mad at that. Okay, who do you guys think is going to end up on top? Leave it in the comments for us.
I just think it'd be so great that the person that Logan tries to fire is the person who is, because I don't.
She has already been acting CEO.
She's been acting CEO. She's very smart. She's capable. She's way more qualified than any of these people. Kendall is always one step away from complete emotional collapse.
Yep.
Roman, do we need to recall Textgate from last season?
Oh, right. One eggplant
Roman
picture.
is a sicko, according to Logan Roy. Shiv's got her own fair share of problems. I don't want it to be Greg. If it's Greg, it's a joke, and we're just all gonna leave and pout.
I agree. It's not Greg. Please don't. No.
Okay.
The show's too smart for that.
No,
They're not going to do that.
No, brilliant episode, but we'll turn this over to you guys. We're all still in our grief. Logan, you were terrible. You were bombastic.
But we're going to pour one out for you tonight anyways.
Yeah, you were iconic TV character. I don't think anybody will ever.
Amazing.
Brian Cox had an incredible career. This will always be his #1 role. There's no getting past it.
Yeah.
All right, well, hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you here next time.